So, hello and welcome. I will just go into our topics today. So, for VS Code, we have a short introduction where I introduce myself. And then we're going right into VS Code. So, just a short overview, what is VS Code? And then we have the topics customization, code editing, IntelliSense, debugging and testing, VS LiveShare. Then I give you some tips for extensions that are really cool to use in VS Code. And then we have the question and answer. Okay, so a little bit to myself. So my name is André. I'm currently 25 years old. And I'm coming from the Bavarian forest. So a lot of you, or some of you maybe know Fichtach. So it's near Deggendorf. You're from Fichtach? Yeah. Oh, nice one. But I don't know you. Okay. After I graduated from the Realschule, then I made the FOSS. I thought, okay, I want to do a bachelor's degree. And I looked around what I want to do, and I started to see that the company Vector Informatik GmbH was applying for a dual course of studies. So that means you're doing your bachelor's and at the same time you can do an apprenticeship. And for me it was the bachelor in electrical engineering, and the apprenticeship is IT specialist for application development. Afterwards I thought to myself, okay, I really like to program stuff, so my master should be in this direction. And then I looked up what is available here in Germany. And then I found the studies Master Mobile and Embedded System, and I'm doing again a so-called dual course of studies with Smartricity now. There I work as a backend developer. And as you can see from the picture, I'm also a trainer in CrossFit Passau. Yeah. Okay, this was to myself, and now we can go into VS Code. So just for a short overview. Who of you has used VS Code before? Oh, so almost everybody, okay. Who of you has used Sublime Text? Then some from JetBrains, so PyCharm or PHP Storm or something like that, IntelliJ. Okay, a lot of you. Oh, nice. So like many of you, I have started with Sublime Text. So it's a text editor you can customize, but what I didn't like is you can't do the debugging without any third-party library, or it's not free and not open source. And after a while, I searched around and was looking for another text editor, and I saw VS Code. So it's also customizable. You can debug. It's free and open source. So, VS Code. The developer is Microsoft and it's based on Electron. It's from GitHub, and you can run cross-platform desktop application with it through the web browser Chromium and Node.js framework. And as I said before, it's free and open source, so you can contribute yourself. And it's also available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So, I have heard the question before, so is VS Code Visual Studio? No, there's a difference. So Visual Studio is one big software. It's feature-rich, so it has built-in stuff for connecting to databases. It has IntelliSense, linting, all this kind of stuff integrated. So you have it right out of the box. It's also designed for development big projects and is Windows only. And now you have VS Code. It's a free open source text editor. It's lightweight. And if you install the right extensions, you can say it's also an IDE, but just, as I said, with extensions. Otherwise, just a normal text editor. And the cool thing is cross-platform, so Windows, Linux, and Mac. So now, I think now I can just switch into the VS Code itself. and give you a brief overview how it looks like. So a lot of you know VS Code, but just for those of you who didn't heard it before, we have here, I will open one file. It's fumes and trashinastic. So here we have the main window. There you can see all your code, and on the right side here, I hope you can see the cursor, you have also an overview over the whole file. On the left side, there are a lot of tabs. So the first tab here at the beginning is the Explorer tab, where you see all your files in the workspace, all the folder structure. The next tab is the Search and Replace. So I guess every one of you knows how this works, but we will go to it later. Then you have the Version Control tab, where you have an overview of all your changes in the repository. The Debug tab, where you have now a window of variables, the watch, and also the call stack. The Extensions tab, where all your extensions you have installed are displayed. And these three are tabs from the extensions, and VS Live Share, what I will show you later, it's an extension that comes installed when you're installing VS Code as well. Yeah, but it's an extension actually. Okay, this was the overview, and now we can, don't have to open this because we are changing again to the customization. So we will start with the themes, then for the keyboard shortcuts, the key mapping, then the settings you can display, and then the extensions. So for the theme, I will just remove these. So, and in VS Code, you can differ between two themes. So you can say, okay, the outline, so if you want to have in dark or in light, or you can change the file icon theme. So we will start with the theme itself. The most crucial shortcut you have to use in VS Code is Command P. So, and you see here, I will show it here. There you can see all the shortcuts I will press. So if you say Command P, it will open the command line, and there you can switch between all the recently opened files. But if you add the right-sided bracket, then you get the command line with all the commands you can use in VS Code. So that means that you can do, for example, here, as you see, the sort lines descending, copy line up, copy line down, so all commands that are available in VS Code. You can also open this one with Command-Shift-P. And now, for example, I want to change, as I said, the theme itself. So I give a theme, and there we have the options of the color theme and the file icon theme. We will start with the file icon theme. I just press on it, and then it's live that you see the changes here. So you can use your preferred one. So just good for the ISIS when I change now to Solaris Light. Yeah, so that's not nice. I have used Atom1 Dark. It's an extension. So you just install it, and then you can select it as well. So the other thing is the file icon theme. So with Command B, I can open the left tab side. So now we can see our folder structure. And now I will open the theme for the file icons. And here you see I have selected the VS Code icons. It's also an extension. I think the default one is SETI, but you see here, for example, here in the Python one, it's not obvious right at the beginning that it's a Python file. So if I change back, for example, you see here the typical Python symbol, so you know it. You can also say, okay, I want to have a minimal one or none. Okay, this was it to the theme. Then we are going to the keyboard shortcuts and the keyboard mapping. As you have seen before, when I say Command-Shift-P, in Command-Shift-P, you see all the commands here, but you can also see on the right side all the keyboard shortcuts you can use to do the specific command. And if I go now to the keyboard shortcuts, there you get a nice visual representation of all the commands that are available and also the keys. If you want to change, for example, let's use the add cursor above, then you just press here on the change key bindings icon, and then you can press, for example, I want to change it in Command G. Then you see it live, the changes, and if you press now the Enter key, it will be selected. Otherwise, just press Escape and you can return. If you don't like the visual representation, you can also go to the keybindings.json. This one looks like this. So you have on the left side all the default key bindings, and on the right side your specific or customized key bindings. So you just have to copy paste, for example, this one here on the right side, and then you can just change here the keys you want to use, and this is the same. So, but the visual representation I showed you before is based on the JSON file. So every setting you do in the JSON file will be applied as well in the visual representation. Okay. This was the key bindings and as well the key binding mapping. The next one is the settings. As before, I just open with Command-Shift-P all the commands that are available and say I want to add, open the settings. Oh, preferences, open settings, here it is. Okay, and here again we have a visual representation of all the settings that are available. So for example here for the text editor, we have the font, formatting, div editor, and so on. A good thing is here the extensions tab, because you will install a lot of extensions, and right at the beginning you don't know what you can customize in this extension. So this is really helpful to see that if you go, for example, here to the HTML one, you can say, okay, I want, for example, the format end with new line. And you just tick it and it will be applied. Another option is as well the settings.json file. And here I have some settings I use, and you can see here, for example, the color theme I have showed you before, so the Atom 1 dark, or the icons theme, the VS Code icons. Yeah. So this is the list of all your customized settings. Okay, and then we're coming to the last one, so the extensions, and there I don't show you all the extensions I have, but I want to show you how you set up your VS Code with extensions, because as I said at the beginning, right at the beginning, for example, in Python, you don't have the ability to have all the linting, and that is worked with Python. So for this one, you have to go to the VS Code website, and there you have the tab languages and then the overview. And there you can see on the left side all the available languages that you can use for VS Code. So we have, for example, here JavaScript, TypeScript, Markdown, C++, Java, Python, and so on. And if I go now, for example, to Python, this is the language I use in my company the most. And there you get getting started. So it starts with, okay, how do I install Python? How do I run Python in the terminal? Autocomplete and IntelliSense, how this works, but I will go into it as well. And on the bottom, you see another a list of useful extensions you can use with Python. Yeah. And here's the Python extension itself. So to use Python in VS Code, you have to install this one. And when I open this, you can see what it's doing. So it includes the features linting, debugging, IntelliSense, code navigation, code formatting, reformatting, and so on. Okay, so this is crucial to use VS Code with Python. So that's everything I wanted to show you about customization. And now we're coming to the code editing. Now it's get a little bit more interesting because now you see live code. Okay, so we're starting with Emmet and CSS Hover, then find and replace, linting, multiple cursor, and line operations. And for the first one, so Emmet and CSS Hover, or specifically for Emmet, who knows what Emmet is? Yeah. Can you explain it?
I'm not sure. I think it's kind of like some shortcuts for generating HTML code, right?
Exactly, yeah. So just go into it. So we have Command P, and then we want to open our sample.html that I have done before. And I want to do this HTML with just 3 commands. And
Can you make it a little bit larger?
oh, yeah, sorry. Is it better? Yeah, okay. So I want to do the whole HTML structure. Then I want to add here a body with the div element and then a UL, so an unordered list. So, and with Emmet, you just start with HTML, and you get here the available Emmet abbreviations. So here HTML column 5, then you just have to use the tab, and it creates for you the doc type. So I will just put it down that you don't get distracted. Yeah, this was what was created. And the next thing I want to use is a div element. So the cool thing about this is you just have to type in div, and then to add a class, you do a dot, and then you say which kind of class you want to have. So I want to have a container, and then you just use again a dot and say you want a container fluid. Press again the tab, and then you have the div element. So I have forgotten to mention it. Emmet is included in VS Code, so you don't have to install it. You have it right out of the box. Yeah. The next one is I want to create the unordered list, and then I want to have 5 list items in it. So the command looks a little bit more difficult. So it says ul.nav, so we have an unordered list with the class nav, and then inside it, so I use the right bracket and say li.nav item, so a list element with the class nav item, and I want this 5 times. And inside these list elements, I want to have href with the class nav link. And now, if I press tab, I will get the 5 list elements. And then you just can use the tab. So, for example, I have the href. I will not use it now, HTTP, just say home. And then you can say here, okay, home, and go through it. So links, and so on. I think you get the idea. Okay. So now we have created this one. And now I want to show you the CSS part. I will change to sample.css. It's the CSS Hover. So I think a lot of you know this scenario where we have all your HTML, you apply your classes, and then you want to have the CSS, and then it should look like this or this or this, but it's not doing it. And with CSS Hover, you can see where the code you're specifying. So for example, the border 1 pixel solid, where it gets applied. So I just have to go to it, and then it says, okay, it will be applied on an element with the class container fluid. If I go here, it will get applied to an element with the class container fluid, and then there's a div element. And there you can see the structure, so it goes on and on and on. So here you see an element, and inside this element, a div element, and then there should be an unordered list, and then it gets applied. So this is really nice to see if your structure is really that what you wanted. Okay. So the next thing is we're going to define and replace. The one option is you have an inline find and replace. You can open it with just Command and F. And you see here a little box. You can open it, say here, okay, find this or this, replace it with this or this. You have also the option here on the left side with the tab and say here, search for this, replace with this. And here it's cool because you have as well the files to include. So you can say you just want to rename something in sample.html, or if you say here star.html, it just searches for the HTML files. Files to execute is the same. And now I want to show you 2 examples. So the first one is just an easy search and replace statement. So you can say here, search for nav item, and then replace it with nav tab item, for example. And if I press the Enter key, I get all the HTML files because I just said, okay, files to include the HTML ones. I get the base.html and the sample.html. And now we just want to replace everything in the sample.html. Press again Enter, and then you see the list here. And if you click on one of these, you get also a preview of the stuff that gets replaced. So you see here, all the nav items here gets the nav tab item. So and then you just press here, so for the replace button, or you can replace everything at once to press here. Okay, just make this back, so make everything back, so we can use the other one. Okay, the next one is you have a built-in Reg X function. Who of you knows what Reg X is? Or better said, who does not know what Reg X is? So everyone knows Reg X? Perfect. Okay, so what if I want to replace every class that starts with nav? So I want the nav tab for every nav or starting nav class. So I can say, for example, here, nav, and then we have the brackets. So we can say, okay, I want to have now a specific character line, specific characters, and there I say dot star question mark. It says, okay, take everything until we have the apprentices. And when I search now, nav dot star question mark. Sorry, I have to select the regex one, so otherwise it's not working. Yeah, and now you see it's selecting everything I wanted. And now I want to replace it with nav tab, and then there's the syntax in VS Code. It looks a little bit different than you maybe expected. It's $1, and the $1 says, okay, replace it with the thing I have selected in the upper selection. And now I get as well a preview, and you see here nav gets replaced with nav tab, nav item gets replaced with nav tab, and then it follows the item. And when I say here, for example, I want to have, so for example, I say here nav tab, then the item, and then ASDF as well. You see here, it's getting after the apprentice, because we're getting the apostrophe as well, and after the apostrophes it says ASDF, and you see here it gets applied here as well. Okay. So this was it to search and replace. The next I have just to look up is linting. Exactly, yeah. So I have another file. Just close these. And then we are going to the models.py. So we have here a person class. It's the structure of Django. Who knows Django? Or who have used Django before? Okay, so not a lot of you. So Django is just a framework for Python where you can structure. You have, for example, classes where you can model all your data in the database. So you have, for example, a table called person. It has some attributes, and this represents your table in the database. And here for the person object, you have the attribute age, and it's from the type integer, and this gets saved into the database. And now for the linting one, that I wanted to show you is linting shows you potential errors. So for example, a potential error could be if you say, I have this import statement login, and when I press now the save button, it says, okay, it's imported. Oh. Just when you saved. Just when I saved. Ah, shit. Okay, let's try it again. Hope it's getting back. No. Ah, wonderful. Okay. So, and now you get the hint that you have an import statement, but it's unused. So why is this helpful? So imagine you're importing a whole module, and in Python you have the syntax that you say, okay, import star. So it says, for example, import everything, and now you have methods in it that override other methods. And this could be a potential error, and so VS Code is so intelligent and says, okay, it's unused, so you can remove it. Okay. So we just remove it, save it, and the error is gone. Another one would be if I have, for example, the city attributes, I remove the comment, press again the save, and now what we get is, okay, jar field is an undefined name. And then I can look up, okay, what's the problem? And here's the problem that we have imported the models, and jar field is from models. So we have to add the models dot, models dot, and then press save, and now it's working again. Another thing is you have also in Python, when I say Command J, tabs here at the bottom, and there you can get a list of problems of the output of the debug console and also the terminal, so it has an integrated terminal. And here you get as well a list of all the problems. So when I press save again, you have here the list of, for example, here the undefined name of jar field. If you click on it, you can just hop right into it. Okay. And with Command J, you can remove it again. So add the models dot jar field. And now we're going to a really cool feature in VS Code, multi-cursor. Who of you who has used Sublime Text know this feature already? But a lot of you think this will be new. So just take this one again here. For example, here, just let's start with removing the comment. So I can add a cursor down. This is with Option, Command, and the arrow key down or up. You can as well add a cursor. And now everything you do will be applied on the 3 lines. So if I remove the comment here, it will get applied here. And then I say, okay, I want to have for first name, last name, and street, the models dot jar field, and should be max length of 255. So just let it here, max length is 255. So this is really cool, but now you ask yourself, okay, what if I have different characters? Can I use multi-cursor then? Yes, you can use it with copy and paste. So for example, if I want to add, let's say you can add in the jar field an attribute where we have to add the string. So the name, city, first name, last name, and street. So I will add the multi-cursor, select all the attributes here, say Command copy, say comma here, and for one reason we say, okay, verbose name or something like that, equals, and then just press insert. And then you have everything. Okay. So, and with escape, you go back to one cursor. The next thing would be if I have the fields updated and created, and you have, or you want to add to, for the first one in auto now true, and as well for auto now add in the second one true. So you can just go into it, click here, and then if you press the Option key on Mac and click on the auto add now equals, then you have the second cursor. So you can place it everywhere you want. So now we can say, okay, this should be true. And for these two, we can say, okay, this should be false. Another keyboard shortcut is Command D. So if I want to replace auto now add, because I know, okay, there are the missing underscores, I can use Command D. It selects the word, and if I press Command D now again, it searches for other words that are the same. You can do this as well with Command Shift L, so it will select automatically everything. So with Command D you can go through it, every line, and with Command Shift L it will select everything at once. Okay, and then I just can say, okay, auto underscore now underscore add. Good. So now the last thing in this chapter is line operations. What do I mean with this? So you have, for example, the city statement, but you don't want it on the first place. So you can do the, okay, select everything, cut it and paste it every one line above, down. But you can do this quicker. So there's, if you press the Option key on Mac and just go with the cursor down, it will replace the lines. So you can just go up or down. The next one is that you can copy line down or up. So if I don't know the shortcut, I can just say, okay, Command-Shift-P, copy line down, and you have the same line. Another thing is that you can sort. So if you say, okay, I want to sort these attributes, I just have to select from line 9 to line 14, say again, Command-Shift-P, and then you can say sort lines descending or ascending. So first, let's try descending, and then we can say sort lines ascending. Okay, these are the line operations. And another feature is, let's go to the Views tab. If you have a really big file with a lot of methods, and you can't contain the overview, so you can fold. For example, I want to add to modify the get context data. I can just say, okay, here in the dev get query set, I will fold this one, or the whole class, this class, and this class, and then I can just work with this method. So you have also the commands as well. So if I say unfold everything again, unfold all, and everything gets unfolded. Okay. Now we are coming to IntelliSense. So IntelliSense is from Microsoft, and it says that you get suggestions or help with, for example, code completion for the parameters. You get some hints for the navigation, and peek, we will see what this is. So just go into it. So we have another file, tests.py sample. And the first thing I wanted to say, who of you knows in Python that you can use data types? So, because Python is actually a dynamic language, so you can say, okay, this is from string, and in the next time you can say this is an integer. But they have introduced a syntax that you can say, okay, this is from the type integer or float. And for IntelliSense, it's really crucial because now here, for example, you see the class we had before, person, and you do the constructor and say, okay, the first name is Max, Mustermann is the last name, and age is 25. And now IntelliSense knows, okay, this is from the type person. And if I say, for example, here in person, I want to have everything that is available, I can use, I just say, Control Shift, Control Space, and then you get the list. So everything with the yellow symbols is for the attributes, and everything with the cubes are the methods. But what if I have, for example, this statement here, and this method get does not know which data type it is? So if I try to use the person dot and want to add now something or get all the available attributes, you see nothing, because IntelliSense does or VS Code does not know which data type this is. You can add this with a syntax like this person, save it, and now when I use this one, you have all the options. Okay. So just have to look at it. Exactly, we have this one, and now we're coming to the parameter help. For the parameter help, when I say here, okay, I have the person object, and now I want to set a new full name. I have person dot set full name. Can just press tab that it autocompletes. I open the brackets, and now you see, okay, I get an overview of all the parameters. So, and the cool thing is you get an underlined representation of first name that you know, okay, now you have to add the first name. And now if I say, for example, the first name Andre, set the comma, and then you get the underlined value of last name. A better visualization is because when I go into it, so this is the navigation that comes later, you see here the comment, and this gets represented when I use the method. But built-in methods like in the calendar, format string shows the parameters better. So if you open the brackets, then you get the hints or the description just for this specific parameter. So for example here, it's the columns, returns a string formatted, You can say, for example, 5, set the comma, and now you get the description for call width. So this is just for the built-in features. I really don't know how to do this in the Python docstring, but I can live with the docstring that it shows me everything. Yeah. But just that you know that you have this support as well. Okay, and now we're coming to the navigation. So as I said before, here IntelliSense does not know which data type it is. So I can't go to this method because it does not know where it is. But if you have the data type here for the person, you can just press the command button, and then you see it gets it looks like a link, and then you can just click on it and you get to the definition. Another option would be that you say that on the right click and say, okay, go to definition. So you see as well, here's the shortcut F12. You have the same result, and you can also use peak definition. And peak definition, I will open it, is that there's a window inside this file that shows the implementation of the file. So you don't have to switch between different files. The really ugly thing is you have the orange color. So I really don't like this one. So what I will use is find all references. So you have as well here the peak window, and then in the models you get the definition, and then you can look into the method. Yeah. A new feature that was coming just this week is that when you're pressing the list all references, now look at the left side on the tabs. There's another tab, and if you click on this one, there it gets saved all your results, because in the peaked window, if you close it, it's gone. And now in the tab, you will get it and can switch between these. Yeah. And if you say, okay, remove clear reference results, the tab is gone as well. Okay, so this was it to IntelliSense. So just look up, and then we're coming to debugging. I think a lot of you know this scenario. You have a really difficult method and you really don't know what it's doing. So one way could be, okay, I add just console log statements and say, okay, print me the variable this or this or this. But this gets really tedious if you have a really big method and to go in and repeat and repeat and repeat. So you can use the debugging. And in VS Code, I will just close this one, this and this, and open the util.py. We have the method getFibonacci. And I won't explain what or how the Fibonacci works, so we will do this together now. The only thing I have to do is set a breakpoint. You go just to the left side here and say, okay, stop right here. Go to the debug tab, and now here you have configuration. So if you don't have this one, you just have to press on this button. It creates a JSON file where you have different modes you can debug. So for example, as you see here, you can also debug the whole framework Django you can debug the framework Flask, or you just can debug what we are using now, the current file. And now we will change here to the current file and want to use the integrated terminal and say, okay, now debug this util. For the Python syntax, so you can say, okay, this one is just the entrance for this file, and now here you execute this method given the parameter 10, and you will get in the method itself. And now we will see on the left side all the local variables. Now we just have the parameter n, it's 10. And if I step into it, so you can press here the F10 or use how do you say? So the window here above, and step right into it. And now you see it's A and B, 1. And now you go into a for loop. And here you get an assignment to A and B, and just let's hover through it. And you see now A gets the value 1, so it was 1, now it's again 1, and B gets the value 2. Okay, now we can speculate. Okay, what is this line doing? So we see here, okay, B gets assigned to A, and A plus B gets assigned to B. So for the next iteration, A gets B, so A must be 2, and B must be A plus B, so must be 3. So let's check it. Yeah, so A gets 2, B gets 3. So now we know how this works, and so just go through it. Or we can just say, okay, continue with F5. And we get here in the debug console our result of 55. So this was an easy example, and now we're going to a more difficult example. And for this one, I will open the Fuse Nestnik, go to the create statement. So we have the post method. So if you're sending something to the server, you're using the post method. And here we wanna set a breakpoint and try to see what is in the request parameter that we have specified here. And therefore, I have to run the server, so manage run server. I have not run server. I have to start the debug session. So go to Python Django and start it. Now you will see it has started it. If I go to the website, this is a hobby project for what I have built myself. So because as you have seen in the beginning, I'm into sports and nutrition. So I wanted to create an app where I can track all my meals and foods and have an overview of it. So when I go through it really quickly, so I have, for example, the meals. And if I want to cook chili con carne, I have a list of all the ingredients. I have here at the top all the information about carbohydrates, protein, and fat. The same for the foods. So I have a list of manufacturers and the shops. And if I go to the shops as well, I have the list of everything that is available there. Okay, and now we want to go to the foods and add a new food. And for this, I just have to log in here. Oh, shit. So prepare everything in advance. You don't have the problems then. Okay, now I'm logged in, and now I have the possibility to add a food. Okay, just let add. And now we want to add mayonnaise. Okay. We say, okay, it's from the manufacturer, well, let's say Gut und Günstig. Who knows of you where's Gut und Günstig? Which shop has it? Edeka, yeah. So we select Edeka. I think mayonnaise has about 800 to 900 calories, 400 grams. So we say 900. For the carbohydrates, let's say, for example, 10. It must have a lot of fat, so we say 60 grams. And yeah, we have the protein, let's say, yeah, 15. And then this is all the information I want to add. And when I say now create, it sends the post request to the server and it will be saved to the database. So I just have a look if I have set the breakpoint. Yeah. And now if I say create, we're coming to the view. And you can see on the left side, now we have a lot of local variables. So this args and keyword args that we have here specified, the self argument and the request one. And now if I open the request one, you see you get, close this one, you get a lot of data now. And we are interested in the post statement. So we can open the post statement. And as you can see, here's all the data we have specified. So the calories of 900, carbohydrates 10, fat 60, manufacturer is the ID now 6, and so on. Yeah, you can also get information, for example, for the body, the environment you have used, yeah, and many more. Yeah, so I will just stop it because I don't want to have mayonnaise in my database. I'm a healthy guy. Okay, so this was debugging, and now just brief the version control system because I think every one of you knows how it's working. I just want to show you the visual representation VS Code itself. So let's get into the tab. Oh, there we are. Okay, so here we see all the changes. So we have modified, for example, our models.py, and if I click on this one, you get the preview of the things that have changed. So red, that is old, and the blue one that gets added. So if we have these changes and then want to say, okay, do a commit now, I just have to go into the tab, say save new models.py. I can do command enter. It will do the commit. You can press this button. Or you can as well use the command. I will just now use command P. It gets saved. Oh, no. Save. And now we say, okay, save models.py. What? Okay. Because I have to add it. Yeah, sure. Now it's in the stage changes, and now I can say save new models, press command enter, and now it's in the commit. The cool thing is you just have to press on the ... and say, okay, I don't want to have my last commit. Say undo last commit, click it, and it's back. So you have all the options available here in the ... Okay, so this was it to VCS. I don't want to get into more details there. And now we are in the extensions. I just want to introduce you to 4 extensions. The first one is when it shows me all the extensions. Oh. Now we have it again. Okay, so the first one is Code Runner. So Code Runner is a really cool feature, so I just have to see if it shows the GIF. Yeah, here we have it. So if you have a really big Python file and you just want to test 1 or 2 lines, then you just can select these 2 lines, do the right click on it, and there's the option. So here he selects the 2 lines, right click, says run code, and now you see here he just gets the 3 and 4, so it just executes the line you're selecting. Yeah, that's the first one. So the next one is Git History. So if you want an overview of all your last commits, you install Git History, do the command Shift P again, say, okay, I want to have the Git History or Git log in this example. I have to open the Tricinestic now again. Say again git log. And here you have all the commits you have done. So you can here select the branches you can select here the authors, and here you have the refresh button and get the list of all the commits here. Another thing is, as well for Git, Git Lens. Maybe you have seen it in some samples. If I open, for example, here the view, nutritionistic, then you see here on the right side my name, and then 2 months ago, and then the commit message. So you see, it's also called the Git blame, that you really can see, okay, who is responsible for this line of code. And you can get a lot more friends in your company if you say, hey, you was the guy who did this. You have more options. So for example, if you hover over it and again press on the ... you see you can open the file, open revision, open file in GitLab, and many more. And for the last extension, it's setting sync. So imagine you have a new PC, you install VS Code, and now you have to search every extension again and all your settings you have to get from your old PC to your new one. So in setting sync is a way to do this automatically. So you just leave a GitHub account, create a gist, and then all your settings get saved there and all your extensions as well. And then you just can say, okay, in the settings sync, there's the option to say, okay, auto download, for example, and then you just have to specify your gist ID and you get everything again. And also the option of auto upload, then all your changes you do will get into gist on the fly. Okay, and now we have reached our last slide. It's VS Live Share, and for this I need the help of Sebastian, because you can say it's online pair programming. So who of you knows VS Live Share or have used it before? Oh, so a new feature for every one of you. Nice. Okay, so let's go. Okay, not move the table. So you have here the tab VS Live Share, and you can say here, start a collaboration session. And I hope the internet works now. Yeah, copy. So it's copied, and now I have to open the Slack to send Sebastian the link. You have to register on GitHub, or you can use the Microsoft account to use the VS Live Share. And now I have shared my link with him, and now I just wait that he will click on the link and join me in my session. So and here you see the participants. So until now we have 0. Sebastian Henneberg has joined your session, so we are opening our tests.py, and just now we see Sebastian is in here. So you can see the cursor where he's working now. And now, for example, if you say, okay, we want to implement a new method that tests our last name of our person, I can say to Sebastian, okay, do this, and in the meantime, I could do something else, or we can do this together. But just to see that it's also an option that I can do something else. So he's copying this just down. And here I want to say just, okay, person dot set full name Multerer. Okay, you see it's a little bit jumping around, but you could do it. So it's just that you have seen how VS Live Share works. And this is really cool if you have, for example, you're working with a colleague in Japan or in somewhere else, Norway, and you want to code together. So this is a really cool feature of VS Live Share. And I think now you know why I have used the GIF of SpongeBob with wonderful. Okay. So, and then it was VS Live Share, and now we have reached the end. And now I'm open for your questions. We have also added the hashtag League of Geeks 13. How this actually work will explain Sebastian to you.
Basically, just go to Twitter and put it up your question with hashtag LOG13. And yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can ask him directly.
Exactly. So, has someone of you questions about VS Code? Yeah?
One of the possibilities if you want to like refactor or restructure code, I mean you showed us the renaming function.
Yeah.
I guess you use it for like renaming variables or
Yeah.
functions. But are there any other kind of like more sophisticated
yeah, this is possible in VS Code. So, for example, in Python, you have to install. It's called rope. It's you just install it via pip, and then you have as well the options. So we have here the person object, and for example, I have said person. We have it here. Yeah, person.set full name. I can go. Sorry, I was too quick. Here. So for example, get full name, and then I want to change it to just get name. I can click on this one and say rename symbol. When I say get name, oh, it didn't work now. Again, get full name. Just let's try this. Yeah, exactly. And as now I said get name, it should do the refactor. Now it's applied, and now if I go there into the person object, you see here's now the get name. So this works, but you have to install rope via pip. Yeah. I think for JavaScript and the other languages is possible as well. Maybe with extensions, maybe it's built in. It depends on Microsoft. I think most of the JavaScript stuff is integrated, so you have it right out of the box. Yeah. Further questions, yeah?
And it's completely for free?
It's completely free, yeah.
Do you have to configure an Emmet in a way?
You have options to configure Emmet, but actually all I have showed you now was just out of the box, and you can use it. But let's see in the settings, because I have seen the tab Emmet here as well. Yeah, and then you can see exclude languages. This means if you have, for example, a JavaScript file, and if you use React, for example, you can use all the HTML stuff as well, and there you can't use Emmet, but you have to include languages. So it's a difference of exclude. So you see it here in include languages, and there we have specified for the JavaScript React to use Emmet as well. Yeah. And the other options are optimized dialog pausing. I think there are some options where you can customize Emmet a little bit, but how much you can customize it, I don't know. Okay.
Does any of the functionality depend on online connection, or which parts are self-contained for operating system?
Actually, everything I have showed you now, except of VS Live Share, is offline usable. Yeah.
Is there any database tool?
A database tool. So if you want to connect to MySQL, for example,
yes.
I think you have to use extensions. We can search for this one. So for example, I want to use it with let's say MySQL. There you see my SQL management tool. So you see here manage MySQL connections, list MySQL servers, usage. Mostly you have a nice overview with GIFs as well, so how to use it. You can also go to the website. So if you press here, there is the repository. You can open it. It's from GitHub, yeah. And there you have, the description as well. Okay. So, and as I said, so VS Code is also open source. You can go to the repo of VS Code and see how it's implemented. And you can contribute yourself if you want. Yeah.
Is
there any code reformatting feature for things like annotation or code conventions?
Like annotations or?
Indentation or code conventions.
You mean formatting?
Yeah.
Formatting, yeah.
Or do you need an extension for it?
For Python, I have, when I open my user settings, you can use in Python 3 different formatters. So it's PEP8. Oh, sorry, I have closed it now. PEP8, YAPF, and Black, I think it's called. And here, for example, I have the yeah, where I have it here in the Python. So I say here I want to use Flake8. Flake8 is just for linting, but for the formatting, formatting provider, you say here YAPF, and then you can specify YAPF args, and then you have put it in like this. So, for example, here the option load plugins, pile in Django, so you can customize it. And when I go now to models and say here, okay, I have the spacing, first name, press Option Shift F, then it's get formatted as well, yeah. Yeah.
We use paste on, and our problem is on merge requests. You can't comment per line. You can only comment per line on the Git page.
Yeah.
The ID.
Yeah.
Is there any possibility?
This I don't know. So we just used until now just the commit. So just add this file, this file, this file, or this file. Or if there's an option that you can say, okay, just this line.
Yes. You can show a diff, then select on the right-hand side the lines that we want to add.
On the right.
Just right-click and.
On the where do you have a press?
On the right-hand side, you select the lines that you want to add.
So on the right-hand side. So this.
On the right-hand side, and then you just right-click, and then I think you should be able to stash that board.
Stage selected ranges, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And now we can see here.
And it takes over exactly.
It just takes this. Oh, nice features, huh? I didn't know this as well. Nice, thank you. Okay. Further questions? Yeah.
I have a question. I noticed that I have like this .es code folder in my project.
Yeah.
And I actually never checked it out. Do you know what's in there? Or?
Yeah, this is, for example, here you see the rope I have mentioned before. This is of the renaming we have done. So this is used just to have a config .py or object.db. So it uses it internally to do the renaming, for example. And the launch.json is the file you use for debugging. So you have all the settings for debugging the current file, or the Python Django, Python Flask. And in the settings, there are all your user workspace settings. So you can differ between user settings and workspace settings. So it's just you go up here, save file, and for example, save this folder you have opened now as a workspace, and then you can apply the settings just for this workspace. Yeah. Okay, and the other thing is tasks.json. So you can customize tasks. I use this, so I can say, for example, here, run task. Select a task. So for example, I use it for Sass, that is compiled automatically. And if I say, okay, enter, it just goes inside here, says, okay, here's the command you have to execute. Let's do this, continue without getting tossed. Yeah, and now it will wait for changes. Okay.